Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. Okay, so let's start off with this Sophia, Tate, and Brady situation. Because honestly, tell you, Brady is really just there to referee the whole thing, right? And, this scene, I really wish I could sit there and come up with some new material on this chick. We all know who I'm talking about. Well, yeah, because it's only one person. The point is, I wish I can sit there and come up with something new. I'm going to try to avoid piling on to the actress that plays Sophia. I'm going to attempt. But this whole thing comes down to Sophia telling Tate and Brady that she had the baby. She didn't bother to sit there and tell him, but oh wait, let's sit there and try to guilt him. Oh, well, you weren't answering your phone, and I didn't know what else to do, so I had to sit there and have the baby alone. And, eventually Tate would say, okay, you know what, fine. But I want to sit there and contact the parents. I want to sit there and see the child just to make sure that the child is okay. But no, you can't do that because I promised the parents that, we wouldn't really have any contact. And Tate's like, who the hell told you to do that? So he's starting to flip out on her. And, Tate isn't there trying to... Brady's not there trying to get him to not dig into her so hard because, she just gave birth. It was a traumatic experience. She had to sit there and do all this stuff alone. And so maybe they just didn't have... Amy there to... Because, part of me was like, I get that he doesn't want his son to rip into her. But part of me was like, bro, you telling me that you're not even a little bit upset about the way that she went about this whole thing? Hell, even if you didn't want to sit there and see your grandchild. Because I feel like part of me is like, he should be a little bit upset about the way that she went about this whole thing. Just gave up the child, didn't even bother to sit there and inform your son, and you're sitting there telling your son, hey, how about you just calm down, son? Okay? How about you just really just, take it down a couple of notches? No, and on some primal level, he should be kind of being like, I'm proud of him for turning up on her, because essentially you unilaterally made a decision for your son as well. And you're telling me that you're just okay with that? I get that he wants to sit there and try to be level-headed and, not go into an outburst on an emotional level, but damn, bro, you are way too calm in this situation. I don't know. The thing is, I'm usually for the most part, I could be very calm and just kind of, when I have to sit there and kind of just deal with something, there's times I can just kind of shut down, just deal with it, When you work in customer service, you kind of have to sit there and pick up that skill, right? And so, getting emotional about something, just flying off the handle, that's not my thing, right? But I feel like in this situation, the fact that he wasn't as angry and the fact that he kept kind of, trying to, oh, don't be so hard on her in a sense, just felt so wrong. And I felt like, you know what, this is the way that they had to do it. Eventually, at one point, he's like, I'm not sending those damn papers. No. And then she shows him a picture that she could have very well got out of a goddamn catalog, and he's like, oh, okay, alright. And then, of course, she tries to, manipulate, well, she pretty much manipulates him by saying, well, if you don't sign the papers, then they could sit there and back out, and you don't want that to happen, do you? Are you fucking serious? And I'm like, listen, even if we sat there and said, okay, maybe Tate's a little bit too close to this, and, he does feel like he wants the baby to have the best life. You tell me that the goddamn dad that's in the same damn room is not looking at that being like, My spider sense is going off. I feel like this is her manipulating my boy. Ah, what do I know? And that's literally how this whole scene goes. You know, one of my amazing subscribers named Janet Z have talked about why she doesn't watch Days of Our Lives. Like, she just can't really take it seriously. And I'm going to be honest, with half-ass writing like that, I completely understand. And that's, and again, it's literally, half of this is the way that the dialogue comes across with her, right? Because she is not really good. And part of me is like, she does have a sketchy past on some level of, blackmailing Holly and trying to get with Tate and stuff like that. And we're sitting there saying that she's now just truth, justice in the American way. Like, part of me is like, oh, this is so goddamn daffy. But this is just how it has to be, unfortunately. And you can see it with Days. So that's pretty much how that goes. Now, Dog runs up to Holly and hugs her, and Holly's like, yeah, the danger that you put me in. And she's like, listen, you could have at least told me. You could have at least told me. This way we would have had our guards up. Tate's like, yeah, no, I didn't think. I just figured they was coming after me, and so I figured, that I just push you two away, and that would be, and Holly's like, look how that went out. On top of the fact that you practically, you played Ari, and Doug even admits, listen, I went out with her, with Ari, because I couldn't be with you, which is something that she already knew, but then you have Ari sitting there telling Gabby, listen, I'm going to confront him. I'm going to confront this loser, and she does that, and. Granted, except for the slapping part, which I've never been a fan of for so many reasons, because I'm just going to throw this scenario out here, right? Let's say that happened in reverse, right? Let's say that Ari did what Doug did, right? And I know not most women is not going to agree with me because, well, you're just not. But let's say Ari did exactly what Doug did. And Doug confronted Ari. And was like, oh, well, I have this to say. And he smacks her. I would sit there and say 98% of women would have been appalled by that scene. They would be like, I want this canceled. Right? It's a society problem. It's one of my pet peeves. So, once she did that, and he was like, oh, well, I deserve that. I was like, no, you deserve the tongue lashing that you got, absolutely. But you didn't deserve to be assaulted. I know it's a soap opera trope. I get it. Most people are into it. I'm not one of them. But I just don't like the idea that that's just a society norm when it's okay and it's acceptable to sit there and hit a man, but it's not okay and acceptable to hit a woman. It shouldn't be acceptable to hit anyone, if we're going to be honest. So, I was with her up until that point, but she practically said what she had to say, and then she leaves. And of course, Doug tells Holly that, he's leaving town because, listen, the loan sharks don't have their money, right? It's tied up or whatever into, I guess, they can, eventually maybe, hopefully release it back to Tate, right? But with that being said, the boss and stuff like that, they still don't have their money. But they know that Holly and Ari, Rafe is going to be looking out for them. He's going to leave town to sit there and make sure that they're safe. We really think about it, and I said this in my stream, what did Doug really bring to the table in this show? What did he do that was like, oh man, I'm so glad that you're here. You've just been an amazing character so far. He hasn't really done anything. He's actually brought nothing but misery to damn near everyone that he encountered. I mean, except for Leo, because Leo just gave him money and stuff. But, like, Ari and Holly, and even Tate was right. And I don't even like Tate, and Tate was right. Like, This man will bring you nothing but pain and misery. And that's literally what I'm doing to both of them. So when he says he's leaving, and he's like, he's not even too sure if he said he wasn't going to talk to Julie, but we see a scene of him talking to Julie. And I remember her sitting there saying, you had such potential. Well, yeah, any character has such potential when they first come in, if they're written properly. Doug clearly was not written properly or written good at all. So this is what we get. Sarah, we'll go with Gabby. Gabby talks to Tony, and Tony's like, I got a business proposal. Now he says that if she gets dirt on Philip and Xander, then he will make sure that she gets back Gabby Sheik, get back her rights to that brand. She's like, I don't know. Right now, I don't think so because Xander was really kind to her. He's like, if you would have approached me that maybe a couple weeks ago, sure. But now, after what Xander did, I just feel wrong. Tony's like, okay, all right. How about you become CEO? And when you really think about it, like you said, the brothers really can't do it. Chad has no interest in it. Plus, she's running the newspaper. EJ's doing the hospital. Kristen already tried, and we saw how that went. And Stefan is nowhere to be found. And Tony doesn't want to, run the day-to-day operations. He wants to travel with Anna and do all sorts of traveling stuff. And she agrees. So, it was like kindness, but kindness only goes so far. And plus, she's a good businesswoman, so she's perfect. Makes sense. I mean, hell, EJ was meant to talk about Johnny can do it. Even if he does, beat those charges, which he should, ain't no way in hell he should be running a whole goddamn corporation. No. Now, the last scene is Xander and Sarah. Sarah was apologizing. He's like, listen, I know I ambushed you, but given what Gabby went through, he was like, no, it's fine. Which, by the way, I just want to point out that kid has blonde hair, and you just have to sit there and wonder, are you sure that Xander's the father? Because he don't have blonde hair, and his moms don't have blonde hair, so where did we get blonde hair from? So they're talking, and, Xander's like, listen, we need to come to some sort of custody arrangement. And she's like, yeah. I was like, it's very easy for you to sit there and say yes now when he has a child. When you had the child and he wanted that, you pretty much like hell to the no. But okay, let's move past that. She's like, okay, we can do it on the condition that you get therapy. Something to bring your temper down. He wasn't going to go to HR. He didn't want to look weak, but it was like, Sarah's like, go to Marlena. Xander was like, okay, listen, he looked at his child. He was like, if she agrees, I'll do it. But I guess the caveat was that they had to separate. I don't understand the legal mumbo jumbo behind that, but there was a legal reason for that. And Sarah was kind of caught off guard, like, separate. And they both agreed. And I'm not going to lie, that was kind of a hard scene to watch. Because I know what that's like, going through a breakup. I felt that. Granted, those two are toxic as fuck together. They are toxic as hell together. And they should have never been together, given who he is and who she wants him to be. But I still felt that. And then towards the end, Kate wanted to tell Holly about the baby and everything like that, and because she wanted to hang out with him, and he was like he wasn't feeling it because of the baby. He wanted to sit there and see the baby before, for everything. Now, he does have 14 days to sit there and change his mind. if he wants to do that. Because, I mean, let's be honest, just because she doesn't want to raise the baby doesn't mean that he can't raise the baby if he decides to. So I guess we'll see how that all works out. Now, I feel like that's pretty much about it. I can't think of anything else. I'll be doing a live stream tonight. We'll talk more about it then, as well as the other soap operas.